Lorwyn Eclipsed is here, and I absolutely adore this set. It not only feels like a return to the beloved Magic Plane, which we haven't even gone back to since its debut in 2007. What is that, like 20 years? Nearly 20 years, right? But, and I gotta be completely honest here, it feels like we're not just going back to Lorwyn, but we're going back to Magic the Gathering, the game I love. Kithkin, merfolk, giants, elves, elementals, and even a tree folk or two. Lorwyn is the fantasy setting inspired by Celtic lore, where the sun never fully sets, dipping down just to the horizon, but never quite below it. I suppose maybe that's why humans died out from the plane long ago. Though as the great aurora crosses the land, the plane is transformed from perpetual day into perpetual night. And the twisted mirror versions of both places and people emerge as Shadowmoor takes its chilling grip upon the land. It should come as no surprise when I say that, yes, Lorwyn Eclipsed is totally worth it, and I hope very much that everyone has already signed up for a pre-release event at their local game store so that you can be among the very first to play with and experience all the awesome that Lorwyn Eclipsed has to offer. It's worth it to pre-release, but it's worth it to buy a box to take home and draft with friends as well, or just hold your own mini sealed pre-release event. But never mind pre-release and draft, what are the best new cards to pick up for the 99 of your Commander decks? Well, don't you worry, because presented here are 6 of the best new cards for your Commander decks, as well as one honorable mention, so I guess it's 6 to 7 new cards that we've curated here, but it wasn't easy. Scrolling through the set list, I was truly blown away by how many great cards there are in Lorwyn Eclipsed for Commander. From exciting new Commander designs to some really spicy reprints. But you know what? We're gonna ignore all of that and instead only cover the best that this set has to offer the Commander 99. So remember, if we cover a legendary, it's not because we think it's one of the best new commanders, it may also be, but because we want to discuss its use as part of the 99, and we are only focusing here on cards from the main set, not new designs found elsewhere, such as Commander Precons, because that is another video. Of course, whether or not it is worth it to buy the 2 Lorwyn Commander decks is irrelevant if you get them for free, which you can do on my big Lorwyn giveaway stream where I'm not only giving away the Commander decks, but 10, count them 10, look at this, 10 collector booster boxes of Lorwyn Eclipsed, only on Whatnot. Mark your calendars for Wednesday, January 14th at 3 p.m. Pacific, and of course Lorwyn's big launch on Friday, January 23rd at 3 p.m. Pacific, because I am giving away 10, count them 10 Lorwyn Eclipsed collector booster boxes, absolutely free to my viewers hanging out with me in stream, as well as every single Commander deck released in 2025, all leading up to the Lorwyn Eclipsed Commander decks as well. 10 collector booster boxes of Lorwyn Eclipsed and every single Commander deck from 2025 leading up to Lorwyn Eclipsed? What is going on? It's just Whatnot letting me give back to the community. All you have to do is create a brand new account at www.whatnot.com/invite/Tolarian College, and you get $15 to spend on anything, anywhere on Whatnot, including my stream. Hang out with me on Wednesday the 14th or on Friday the 23rd. We'll talk Magic, we'll talk Lorwyn, and I'm gonna give away all this stuff. I've also got signed playmats, signed academic deck boxes, and other cool goodies in my store, and you get that $15 credit just by creating a new account. So yeah, from free Commander decks to free collector booster boxes, 10 of them, I'm giving 10 away every Commander deck from last year. It's incredible. Join me on Whatnot on these 2 days for an epic giveaway, and you get a $15 credit when you create a brand new account. $15 to spend on Magic and maybe a collector booster box of Lorwyn. Sounds pretty good to me. Thank you, Whatnot, for sponsoring those streams and this video. Let's begin with an honorable mention before we get into the top 6. I just have to talk about this exciting multicolor card that may not make the main list, but still offers something really new and cool to its color pair. Raiding Schemes is a 5-mana enchantment in Gruul colors that reads, each non-land spell you cast has Conspire. Conspire is a mechanic that's older than some of the viewers of this channel, and first came out when I had already finished grad school. Oh my god, is that true? I'm old. I'm so old. When you cast a spell with Conspire, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a color with it. If you do, copy it, and you may create new targets for the copy. If you copy a permanent spell, the copy becomes a token when it resolves. Raiding Schemes is a sweet fusion of creature and non-creature strategies, an effect you don't see often in Gruul colors. And since Gruul is red-green, then it should have no trouble providing you creatures to tap for your various conspiracies. The key to making Raiding Schemes work will be including enough good non-creatures to conspire out. Fortunately, there are plenty of great cards to copy in Gruul. Card draw like Inspiring Call, Hunter's Insight, or even Guardian Project are all excellent choices. Damage doublers like Unnatural Growth or Fiery Emancipation will lead to obscene damage output from your board. Removal, tutors, even ramp spells are all great to double up on. But if you want to maximize the potential of Raiding Schemes, you'll need a commander that specifically rewards you for doing the things Schemes does. For example, Bello, Bard of the Brambles. Bello not only loves that Raiding Schemes provides you with additional artifacts and enchantments to turn into 4/4s, but it even turns Raiding Schemes itself into a 4/4 elemental creature. That means that any big non-creature artifact or enchantment you copy with Raiding Schemes will become a creature that can then be tapped to conspire out additional cards on your turn, even if they happen to be summoning sick. What a combo. Raiding Schemes won't go in every red-green deck, but it will be one of the best cards in every red-green deck that it does go into, and that is enough to make it an honorable mention in this video, even if it didn't hit our main list. But now let's get to our main list. At number 6, we've got a big card that makes a lot of copies. Isn't it Raiding Schemes? It's even better than Raiding Schemes? Mirrorform is a 6-mana blue instant that reads, each non-land permanent you control becomes a copy of target non-aura permanent. So here's the deal with this card. Actually, there are 2 deals. The first is that you can target any non-aura permanent, not just one you control. The second, this doesn't say until end of turn. All your stuff will turn into whatever you target with Mirrorform forever. Whatever the best permanent on the field is, no matter who owns it, you'll not only get yourself a copy of that permanent, but you'll get tons of copies. Mirrorform also doesn't specify that only your non-token permanents get copied, which means if you cast this in a token deck with a big wide board, the result will be absurd. Heck, if you cast it with a bunch of treasures, foods, or clues in play, the result will still be absurd. The ceiling on Mirrorform is as tall as the commander non-aura permanent pool is wide. Essentially, if there's a powerful permanent in Commander, Mirrorform will be happy to make copies of it. The one exception is any permanent that's legendary, as the whole point of Mirrorform is to get a bunch of redundant copies of the same thing. But there are some legendaries that actually are good to copy with Mirrorform. Sir Conrad, the Grim, for instance, instantly kills all your opponents if your board is wide enough when you target it with Mirrorform. Creating 7 copies of Sir Conrad will cause you to lose 6 copies to the legend rule. Those 6 copies will each see the other copies of Conrad die, putting 30 Conrad ping triggers on the stack. Meanwhile, whichever Conrad you pick will see all 6 Conrads die, putting the total number of damage this deals each opponent up to 36. 8 copies of Sir Conrad equals 49 damage, 9 copies is 64. The damage is literally exponential. This is just one example, but the possibilities for what you'll copy with Mirrorform are virtually limitless. Soul Ring, Smothering Tithe, Orcish Bowmaster. There are over 18,000 legal non-legendary targets for Mirrorform in Commander, and that's not even including tokens you may choose to copy. This is an incredibly sweet card, and it's held down here at number 6 on our list solely for the sin of costing 6 mana. This card is also an instant, which is kinda crazy, IMO. Okay, number 5 on the list is a kindred variation of one of EDH's most played uncommons, and in the right deck, it could be even better than its predecessor. Boggart Mischief is a 3-mana kindred enchantment goblin. When it enters, you may blight 1. If you do, create 2 1/1 goblin tokens. Whenever a goblin you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Essentially, Boggart Mischief is a bastion of remembrance, except it's got the goblin type line. This means you can tutor for it with Goblin Matron, grab it off of Goblin Ringleader, or cast it off the top of your deck with Conspicuous Snoop. It even contributes to your Munitions Expert damage. The enchantment is a Goblin. The comparison to Bastion of Remembrance isn't just about that Blood Artist effect either. If you blight 1, you make 2 1/1s, meaning you lose a power and toughness to add 2 power and toughness to your board, the same number that Bastion of Remembrance adds. What's more, if you blight onto a 1/1 Goblin already in play, you'll immediately trigger the Boggart Mischief, since it'll see the Goblin die. Aristocrats has long been a sub-theme within Goblin Kindred decks. From Sling Gang Lieutenant to Goblin Prospector to Goblin Grenade, sacrificing goblins simply comes with the Goblin territory. Boggart Mischief is therefore an incredibly useful card to Goblin decks, regardless of which specific Goblin commander you run. I mean, as long as the commander is black, of course. Sorry, Grumgully. The only reason, and I do mean the only reason, that Boggart Mischief is this low on the list is that it is admittedly a pretty narrow card. I mean, it's only useful in Goblin decks. It's rare for me to include a card in my best of lists that only goes in a single creature strategy, but the inclusion of Boggart Mischief here speaks to just how powerful this card is. Bastion of Remembrance is one of the most played cards in EDH for a reason, and specifically in a Goblin deck, Boggart Mischief is even better. Imagine if Bastion of Remembrance had the Kindred type Zombie. That's basically what's happening with Boggart Mischief. Simply an incredible card. Moving up the list to number 4, we have another card like Mirrorform that pays you off for creating a wide board, only this time the payoff isn't a big instant, it's just a watchful little guy. Kinscayer Sentry is a 2/2 Kithkin soldier for 1 generic and a white mana. It's got First Strike, Lifelink, and a crazy attack trigger. When it attacks, you may put a creature with mana value X or less onto the field, tapped and attacking, where X is the number of attacking creatures that you control. Let's toss just one option for what that creature could be onto the table right now. If you have 8 attacking creatures, Kinscayer Sentry can drop a Moonshaker Cavalry directly into play. All your creatures get +9/+9 and gain flying. That's 89 damage plus whatever the combined power of the other 7 creatures you attacked with adds up to. Enough to kill 2 players easily, and it's not that hard to make it kill all 3. But let's walk things back a bit. 8 creatures is not that many to ask for in a dedicated go-wide deck in Commander, but we can't evaluate a card purely on what it offers us in Magical Christmas Land. So let's talk about the more moderate circumstances. Even before you reach Kinscayer Sentry's lofty ceiling, the card provides real value every time it attacks. Cheating on mana is good even if you only cheat on a little mana. And Sentry does so while also keeping the pressure on, as the creature you drop hits the board attacking. Creatures that need to attack in order to get value are certainly not as good as those with an ETB. But because Sentry only costs 2 mana, it'll hit the board early and net you back its mana cost before you know it. If you curve a 1-drop into the Sentry, attack on turn 3, then put a 2-drop into play, Sentry has already paid for itself. Any additional creatures it adds to the board are just gravy. Don't sneer at the Sentry's stat line either. A 2/2 lifelinker with First Strike packs a real punch, especially when combined with any of the myriad relevant lords available in Commander. Kinscayer Sentry is a huge get for go-wide decks, even ones that don't make much use of either of its creature types. The next card on our list is for the Magic the Gathering player who just wants to be left alone already. Quit touching my stuff, quit targeting me all the time. This card is for you, if you're me. Hexing Squelcher is a 2/2 goblin for 1 and a red that has Ward, pay 2 life, and this spell can't be countered. It also makes all of your other spells uncounterable and gives all of your creatures Ward, pay 2 life. Hexing Squelcher is the only, and I do mean only, 2 mana permanent of any kind that makes all your spells, and only your spells, uncounterable. Every other similar effect at low mana value has some kind of stipulation or drawback. Allosaurus Rider only makes your green spells uncounterable. Frenzied Baloth and Destiny Spinners specify a certain card type. And the most direct comparison, Spider-Punk, makes all spells uncounterable, including your opponent's. So with Spider-Punk in play, you don't just win any counter war you find yourself in. There just aren't any counter wars at all. But with Hexing Squelcher, not only can no opponent counter your stuff, but you can still counter their stuff. This makes Hexing Squelcher an immediate CEDH staple. It's particularly useful for protecting a combo win, especially in decks that don't have access to white for Voice of Victory or Grand Abolisher. But it's also great to have this in play when you're not actively winning. It makes your own counter magic way more effective for dealing with what your opponents try to do. What's more, while Hexing Squelcher is absolutely primed to be a big player in CEDH, it has plenty of utility at lower power tables as well. Few things draw the ire of bracket 2 players than a blue mage with 2 islands untapped. But with Hexing Squelcher in play, that blue player can go kick rocks. Your stuff is hitting the table whether they like it or not. The ward on the Squelcher, and even the ward it provides your other creatures with, isn't particularly relevant in Commander since life totals are so high. But it is nice that any attempts to remove the Squelcher will result in a small shock to the rude player's face. But really, you're putting the Squelcher in your deck to ruin a blue player's day, not defend against removal. Alright, so what are the best 2 new cards from Lorwyn Eclipsed for the 99 of your Commander decks? Well, coming in at number 2... Number 2 on our list is an artifact that will become an instant staple in a particular kind of blue deck. Rimefire Torque is an artifact for 1 and a blue that reads, when this artifact enters, choose a creature type. Whenever a permanent you control of the chosen type enters, put a charge counter on this artifact. You can also tap the Torque and remove 3 charge counters from it to copy the next instant or sorcery spell you cast. Rimefire Torque is fantastic for the simple fact that it asks almost nothing of you. You cast it early, then it just sits there, accruing value over the rest of the course of the game. You're going to want to run the Torque in a deck like Tolarian the Sky Summoner that makes creature tokens of a particular type when you cast spells. That way, you'll both have a consistent flow of creatures entering and plenty of good instants and sorceries to cast. You can also run this in something like a Fairies or Rogues deck, with more creature spells and fewer instants and sorceries to copy, as long as the spells you do have are very powerful. Remember, unlike something like Runaway Steamkin, where you need to use up the counters the moment you hit the threshold in order to get the effect that you want to keep accruing more counters, Rimefire Torque has no such restriction. You need to remove 3 counters to activate the ability, but you don't stop adding counters once you hit 3. So don't feel pressured to activate the Torque right away to copy whatever the first instant and sorcery you're able to cast. You can save it for a more impactful one if you'd like. Of course, in the decks that make the absolute best use of Rimefire Torque, like Talrand, you'll have such a steady flow of creatures triggering it that you can pretty safely activate it the moment you hit 3 counters. You're just so likely to be able to activate it again by your next turn. In these kinds of decks, the biggest barrier to activating the Torque is that you have to tap it, not that you need 3 charge counters. And that's exactly where you want to get the maximum value out of the Torque. What a sweet card. All right, we've made it to the top of our list, and this card, oh my god, it is so powerful. The number 1 best card from Lorwyn Eclipsed for Commander is Bloom Tender. Bloom Tender is a 2-mana dork that taps for 1 mana of each color of permanent you control. That means this 2-mana creature can easily tap for 3, 4, even 5 mana in the right deck. I cannot believe they made this card for Lorwyn, and oh. All right. I'm just kidding. It was just a joke. Bloom Tender is already a card in Commander. It's a great card, an amazing card, but it's not a new card, though it is getting a reprint in Lorwyn Eclipsed, which is very exciting, but don't worry, Bloom Tender is of course not number 1 on our list today. What is the number 1 card on our list? Yeah, it's green. It's green. Sapling Nursery is an enchantment for 6 generic and 2 green mana. Yeah, that's a lot, but wait. It has affinity for forests. It also has a landfall trigger. Whenever a land enters, make a 3/4 treefolk creature token with reach. That would be busted in and of itself. But it's not the only thing written on the card. Look, there's more. Pay 1 and a green and exile this enchantment to give all your treefolk and forests indestructible until end of turn. In other words, board wipes be damned. Well, one board wipe be damned. I guess another sweeper cast later would still wipe your board, but still. Landfall Make a Creature is not remotely new design space, but this is one of the best Landfall Make a Creature cards that we've ever received. A 3/4 body for each landfall trigger is excellent, bigger than many other landfall-based creature tokens. What's more, it is not at all difficult to have enough forests in play to make this cost just 2 mana. 6 forests is trivial for a mono-green deck, and multicolor decks will have access to plenty of dual lands with the forest land type to both satisfy their mana requirements and cast the Sapling Nursery for a reduced cost. Or, you can just put a Yavimaya Cradle of Growth into play and live life on easy mode. That activated ability is awesome insurance for your wide board of tokens. Sapling Nursery would probably already be worth running in a non-landfall Treefolk deck for its typal synergy, but that activated ability makes it one of the best Treefolk cards printed in years. If you're playing a bracket 4 commander, you can also do something truly evil with your Nursery. Activate the ability for 2 mana, giving all your forests indestructible, ideally with a Yavimaya in play. Then cast Armageddon. Everyone likes one-sided mass land destruction in Commander, right? Right? And there you have it, our top 6 to 7 best new cards from Lorwyn Eclipse for the 99 of your Commander deck. But did I miss something? Probably. This is an amazing set, so if there's a card you wished I had talked about for the Commander 99, let me know in the comments below. And let me know if you're all registered for pre-release, and if not, why not? Besides the fact it's probably too expensive. That one doesn't count, but if you can afford to do so, if it is reasonable to do so, go on down to your local game store and sign up for at least one pre-release event for Lorwyn Eclipsed. I guarantee you it is going to be a great experience. And remember, I'm giving away 10 collector booster boxes of Lorwyn Eclipsed, as well as one of every single Commander deck that came out in 2025. Yeah, even the Final Fantasy ones, all leading up to the Commander decks of Lorwyn Eclipsed. It's the mega Lorwyn Eclipsed giveaway and Commander giveaway only on Whatnot. Just join me Wednesday, January 14th at 3 p.m. Pacific, where I'm giving away one of every single Commander deck that was released last year, and it's all leading up to the Lorwyn Eclipsed Commander decks, which are going along with Lorwyn Collector Booster Boxes, of which I'm giving away 10 on the launch, on Friday the 23rd at 3 p.m. Pacific. And when you create a brand new account at www.whatnot.com/invite/Tolarian College, you get a $15 credit to spend on anything Magic the Gathering or otherwise on Whatnot, whether it's in my store or anyone's store. So yeah, $15 a Magic product and maybe free collector booster boxes or Commander decks? Come hang out with me on Whatnot, sponsor of this video.
Next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
Welcome to Shuffle Up and Play. Today, Mystery Booster 2, but we will each be building a Commander deck from the contents.
It's a huge set. I'm trying to remember how many cards were in it?
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with the garbage, by the way, so I've just been
sure.
chucking it behind me.
Our highly skilled editors will love picking up Vox's garbage.
I'm gonna pick it up!
Play a Forest and a Mox Poison.
Oh! How did Fast Mana get into this?
Josh made the saddest face. Look at that! How am I supposed to? I hate you for 7. Untap.
Yes, you will.
Thank you so much
It
for
resolves.
allowing. I will
resolves.
draw. Okay.
It resolves.
Thanks so much.
You haven't said how's it once. You said hello in your intro.
How's it? How's it? How's it? Now you got it. Editors,
All
you're
right.
good? Okay.
Yeah.